And because I had forgotten that you didn't have the speech piece enabled on the environment. So is the goal for you to finish with quality training and then start with the speech analytics, or you're going to be focused only on the quality training so far? The quality audits, I'm talking. Because I had a comment this morning from my project team, and they were saying that you're only using the quality module, that you don't have the. Oh, sorry. Oh, I thought you were speaking, but I think it was background.
Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was well. I'm not really sure what I mean by quality and this speech analytics is the automated part, no?
It's the automated part, but it's also where you can create studies. For example, you can create studies to understand specific phrases found by the client or silences or things that you want to. But well, we can see that on the environment. But I was just checking because I presume you want, you will be using both of them, the speech and the quality audits. But then my team told me that you are only using the quality. So what I wanted to do with you today is, do you have access to the environment right now? Is there any of you who has access to the environment, and you can show me in the screen how your environment looks like? I know that you're trying to have it change on the VCC for this, but regardless that, I would like to see what you have in your environment. I would like to see the different options that you have there, if you can. Does any of you have access to that right now?
Yeah, sure. I can share.
Okay. Yeah, if you can share so I can take a look at that and see what you have enabled. Hi, Alvaro. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Miriam? How are you
How are
doing?
you doing? Doing well, thanks.
Sorry, I'm being late to this meeting. I assume you will be starting. You will start in the showing by. Okay, you are proceeding with the training, but I'd like to understand if you can give me a 30 seconds of overview of what will you be dealing in this session and the one later this week.
Yes, so we need to finish all of the training on the quality. So transcriptions, manual audits, automated audits, test that it is working on the environment, creating a few queries so you can run an automated audit, right? An automated quality audit. So it's basically closing on anything that has to do with quality management, either hybrid, manual, or automated, using transcriptions and so on. And then the other question that I had is if you're also going to start using the speech analytics, which is not actually the quality audits, but when you create queries, for example, to analyze silences within the interactions. For example, if you want to figure out if your contact center has agents who have left clients waiting for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, more than 60 seconds silent status, or identifying specific words in the interactions, but they are not related to quality audit, right? So you have both modules. You have quality audits on one side, and then you have speech analytics to figure out things that happen within the interaction that doesn't have to do with any quality mandate, right? So basically, this week is all about completing all that. But then I think that there was another thing that you needed to close on with Sebastian Vallejo, and that has to do with more the provisioning side, right? Something around, okay, you have a new client, who needs a new VCC, and then they need a configuration and then administration of the environment, and then all of that is the part that Sebastian or somebody else in the team is going to close on. But that is not the scope of this week. This week is to close completely and test and do a few tests on quality audits. Is that all
Let me.
right?
Well, yes. I mean, is our expectation was slightly different to that. I mean, the scope we requested here. I mean, this is a valid points that we want to deal. I mean, we appreciate these training sessions. I think we're gonna go ahead with that, but we need to first one thing. I mean, from what you're telling me is more on the on the configuration side for automating a specific task and for the hybrid as well. On the other side, you have the speech analytics, which is very interesting. We don't have a license
Yes.
yet, but it's
Okay.
something that will definitely be in the market, being requested, and we will definitely be using. So we can definitely benefit from that session. Very interesting. Although our main priority here is actually acquiring knowledge on the administration side of the setup. Not that much on the provisioning, okay, but also on the actually setup of the module.
Creating a new environment for a client. Is that what you're looking for?
Not a new environment. I mean, assuming you have an OCC and a BCC already created,
Yes.
setting up what is the quality management configuration for that specific BCC.
Yes, but that is part of that is part of the scope, because actually what you have to do to configure all that, let's suppose that you have a new client, right? And the client will come up and will say, okay, we have this standard, we have these things that we need to, to audit, for example. It is you who are going to create all of those evaluation formats and create all the queries and all that. So that is part of this week's session, right? How do I create a model for NLU? How do I create queries? How do I improve the queries? How do I relate all of that to an evaluation format? And how do I make that evaluation format to be part of the audit exercise itself, right? Rather it is manual by a human auditor, or it is automated. So all that part is going to be completed within these sessions this week.
So I understand there, like, to understand each other, let's call it two different parts of the setup. One is the technical setup, and the other one is the business configuration setup. Now, what you're telling me,
Okay.
understand is more related to the actual business configuration setup.
Yes, exactly. You need to understand the other piece, that connecting the VCC and the FTP and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. That the technical setup is some knowledge that we need to acquire, but from what you're telling me, this is not covered in these sessions this week.
Could not be today, but if Sebastian is available on the next one, that should be something really, straightforward. So if Sebastian is available for, I think I put it for Wednesday, if he can come with me on that session, or if I can, make somebody else in the team to join me in that session, we can cover it. It's really, I usually don't do it because I don't have the permissions to show an integration and all that, because I'm in the training team, right? So this is why I need somebody from the technical team to come up and show with a screen and how that is done and how everything is integrated, and how do you put an FTP or an SFTP or the VCC integrated into the speech analytics environment. If we can come up with that on Wednesday,
yeah,
sure.
That's fine. But before that, I mean, we have a more pressing point here, which is we have already by contract signed and supposed to be implemented the quality management module for one of our ongoing customers, operation, and that's an unfinished task. From what I see, Kelsey, please correct me here if I'm wrong. We have done a test. We did a test setup. I think Kelsey was helping us a lot on that for one of for a test BCC that we call it OmniDXP, but the one for the customer, for the client itself, that there was the one coming, is still undone. We've been trying to do our best, but apparently we don't have access at administrator.
Actually, Alvaro, I asked Franco about this point, because apparently the configuration is done like from inside the quality management server, like not from the inConcert deployer or web interface. And I told him it's currently we have two licensed users assigned to VCC called OmniDXP. So if we can have this done with Friendly Pay, the VCC that you want to use. But I don't know like much about this part, or because I didn't have this installation in my lab or in our environment. So once I get a feedback, I'll update you how we can like maybe we need like to create another configuration, disable license there, enable there. The technical team should help us in this one.
By technical team, you mean some from the team from Sebastian, or
from inConcert, Sebastian, or I forgot if he's the same one with workforce management or someone else, but yeah, someone from inConcert team.
Very good. So our request, in summary, our request goes in two ways. Not this to be solved because we have two licenses in something in the BCC that we
Of course.
So do the setup in the client, and the other one is the one you were mentioning. Not try to get Sebastian in the next Wednesday so we can acquire that knowledge from the session. And I will be disturbing you more, and I will let you continue.
No, not at all. Not any problem. Not a problem. Okay, good. Okay, so I think you, Naji, we're going to show the screen on your environment. So let me take a look at that. And then in the meantime, while you're showing, I was going to ask, and perhaps you, Mohammed, do you, on that environment that you have set up, did you have any contact center VCC integrated or not? Do you know that? If it was integrated with any contact center, any OCC?
And I know it was done for the VCC name, right? OmniDXP.
Okay.
And the user is given to us with that suffix, like the username at OmniDXP.
OmniDXP. Okay.
The one that's now Naji opening and sharing.
Okay. Can you click on the home icon? Okay, over there. Evaluation, analytics, audit, administration. Okay, can you go to administration, provisioning, please? And environments, if you might. Okay, so it's not integrated with any VCC. Okay, good, because I wanted to check if you were connected into the VCC. Let me show my screen now. Okay, so you do only have the quality pieces enabled. I'm going to see if I can give you access to the training environment so you can later test on the training environment, the speech piece as well. Okay, so there you will see there that there are some other pieces, right? When you go to the provisioning side and you come to the environments, for example, in my case, I don't have any VCC that is integrated, right? I don't have an OCC or an inConcert contact center OCC automated, which is one of the options, and it's the best, right? Because if you have the VCC integrated, what you can do is, and let me show you this. Perhaps you're already aware of this. Let me show you this real quick. Okay, let me stop sharing for a moment because I need to check on the password over here. Okay, yeah, is this the one? Okay, sorry, 1 second. Okay, I wanted to show you something, but it looks like somebody else is logged. Let me try once more. Okay, there's somebody else logged. Okay, in a few moments, I'm going to show you how you can get the VCC integrated with the speech analytics. I think you might already know it, but it's in when you go to the provisioning side of the environments, you can go to the VCC level and then get to the integrations, and then you can enable or disable the integration with other inConcert products, right? So there will be a section for you to integrate with speech analytics, and then you will have to pull the credentials, the URL, and then some other information from the environment. In this case, in this one, you don't have anything in yours, but in this one that I'm showing you, which is the one that we use for training, what we have is some FTPs and some audios from the storage that we have in Amazon, right? So you can either put an STP or an SFTP or FTP, or you can connect to your storage in Amazon, or you can connect to a specific VCC, right? So in this case, in this environment that I do have, so those are the different options that a client will have. In this particular one, what I have to do when I want to audit something, when I want to create a quality audit, I will not be able to pull the interactions from the VCC because of this, because I don't have it integrated directly with this speech analytics or quality environment, right? So every time that a client does not have a contact center with inConcert and it's not connected with the environment of the speech analytics or the quality evaluations, what they will have to do is they will have to upload the, the interactions that they want to audit. So let me just scroll back a little bit. You will see that, for example, there are some things here in analytics that you don't have in your environment, and this is just because you don't have the license for speech analytics. We're going to cover everything, but that's the reason. On the last time that we met, we saw how to create the quality audits, right? So you get a client, the client comes up with the business case, and you have to start creating the evaluation plans for those clients, right? So they will basically come here and tell you, okay, I have to do a weekly evaluation of this particular team, and then I have this other team, but for that other team, I have to create a daily evaluation or whatever the plan is, right? So basically what the client will need to have is they will need to understand how to create the plan. And by plan, what we mean is what is the type of audit that we want to carry: a weekly audit, a daily audit, a monthly audit. What is the sample that I'm going to audit? Who are the auditors that are going to do that audit? Or is that audit being done automatically, right? So basically, those are the things that are being taken care of in an evaluation plan. So basically, the evaluation plan is the last step. Before I can create an evaluation plan, what we have seen in the last sessions is I actually need an evaluation format, right? Why is that? So let me start by the end, just to summarize what we saw. When you create an evaluation plan, what I did is I click there on evaluation plan. You basically will put a name, and you will need an evaluation format. The evaluation format is exactly what it tells you, if this is going to be a manual audit, if it's going to be an automated audit, or if it's going to be a hybrid audit, right? You will see in the short term that there's also going to be a real-time audit that is going to be enabled. We still don't have it, but in the upcoming, I wouldn't say in the upcoming month, but it's soon to happen. We will also have the real-time audits as well, right? So you will have to have an evaluation format created beforehand. If you don't have one evaluation format, then you will not be able to create the evaluation plan. Right, when you create the evaluation plan, let's suppose that I put let's say customer service. Let's suppose that I want to use this format that I already created. We're going to review that. I have a deadline for the auditors. If there's a manual audit, I can select a deadline for that. I can select the language for the transcription. Don't worry about those, those messages. They are because of my environment, so don't worry about that. And then let's suppose that I put customer service, a name, any name for this particular plan. By default, this is always going to be set up as manual, but you can put here automated. And then when you click automated, see that the evaluation format that I have chosen is no longer available. And that is because when you create a format for evaluation, you have to create it for automated or for manual or for mixed, right? So this is when I change to automatic, the tool will tell you, okay, you need to use another format because the format that you chose is not appropriate for this one, right? So you basically create this, and then what you will have to do is you will have to select all of the interactions that are going to be the sample for that evaluation plan, and then you will be able to filter the content if you want to filter specific content from those interactions, and then just go ahead and finish, right? So we'll come back to this, but the main point of this is that the evaluation plan is basically the last step, is when your client comes and says, This is the, the recurrency of audits that I want to do, and I want to do these, these particular audits. I want them to be carried by humans, and then these other, audits I want them to be carried by automation, right? So this is the last part. So for that, you need to have the formats. So what are the formats? Let me get out of here. You have evaluation plans over here, and then in evaluations, which is this one, you'll have the evaluation formats. The evaluation formats is, think of this as the, as the old times paper with all of the questions and all of the validation types. Is this going to be a question for yes or no? Is this going to be a blank form? What is the evaluation going to have within, right? What is the evaluation script that I need to have? So you basically will put a name, will put a minimum acceptance mark, which is basically what's the minimum for this audit to be passed. And then you can create a free one. You can start from scratch, or you can start from a format that you have already created. This is usual, this is useful, for example, when there are people who want to put little, modifications to the existing format. But if you click on that, basically you will have a drop down. You will be able to select from any of the formats that you have already created. If you want to do it on your own and then start from scratch, you will use the free format, right? So I think all of these we covered on the last time, but happy to review again and do it again if needed. In the evaluation format, which is basically, let's just for the sake of the exercise, let's think first of those evaluations that are going to be carried by a human auditor, right? Let's go into put that example first. Those evaluations are the manual evaluations. What it means is you create all of the script for the evaluation and all of the scoring and whatever you need to create on that scripting. Once you have it, you put it on an evaluation plan. And once you save that evaluation plan, you assign who are the auditors that are going to work on that and how they are going to receive those audits, right? So if you have a sample with 100 audits that need to be carried, how you are going to split that between all of the auditors proportionally, custom, whatever, right? So basically when you save that evaluation plan and you put, okay, this is the number of audits and this is the script that you're going to use and this is the way you're going to receive, 50, you're going to receive 50. When you do that, what happens is the human auditor will receive those tasks to complete in their environments, because they will have an auditor's access. So they will basically get in the inbox all of the audits that they need to complete. And to complete those audits, they will be able to see basically the script and to listen to the recording or to read the interaction that they need to audit, and they will be going in and checking, this is passed, this is not passed, and these are the comments. So we're going to see that anyway, so we can review that. But to do that, you first have to work on the script, which is the evaluation format, right? So let's suppose that I put script for friend. I don't remember the name of the client. Sorry about that. So let's say that I want 90 to be the minimum score for that. So if it's below 90, this is going to be told to you by the client, right? So they will say 60, 70, 90, whatever. You are going to use a description based on whatever the exercise is. And now remember that I told you, let's begin from the last to the first, right? So to create an evaluation plan, you need an evaluation format. But to create an evaluation format, you also have to have abilities, right? Abilities, which basically are the things that you want to test, that they are passed or not passed, right? So think of the abilities as any of the topics that need to be audited, right? So for example, if I want to have abilities associated with this particular script that I want to audit, this is something that I don't like. I would like only the English ones to show up in the drop down. This is reported already. You will not have that problem, but I have the Spanish and the English, right? But let's suppose that I want to audit the ability of the agent of asking for a reference when the interaction ends, right? So they finished all of their conversation. Please interrupt me whenever you need to interrupt, because I'm not seeing the screen. So I'm not seeing if you're making a question or raising your hand. So feel free to open the microphone and interrupt, right? So let's suppose that I'm auditing an operation where the agent needs to ask for a reference. It could be, for example, that they are asking for a reference because they are working on a banking related stuff, or it could be that they finished all of their interactions and they ask for a reference, somebody else who, they could think that are interested in the service. So let's suppose that I want to make sure that the agents are asking for references, at the end of the session. So as you saw, let me remove it and let me start again, because I clicked and didn't tell you what I was doing. If I want to do that, I will come here and I will look for that in a drop down. Let me see, somebody else is training, I think. Hello, good morning. Okay, let me continue. So basically, I'm adding one of the things that I want to audit. And as you could see, the way that I did it is just clicked on here and then selecting from a drop down, right? So this is why I was saying, okay, to create an evaluation plan, you need an evaluation format. To create an evaluation format, you first need to think of which are all of the abilities or which are all of the topics. I like topics more than abilities because it's not always abilities what you're testing. But what are all of the topics that your client needs to have audited in that format, right? So this is where you are going to come and add all of the abilities that you want to create. For example, if I want a second ability or a second topic that I want to put, let's say that I want to check on empathy, and then another one, let's say, hopefully I have another one in English, initial salutation, right? So let's suppose that in my script, I have 3 things that I want the auditors to take a look at. Usually there are 5 things that they want to take a look at. And so all of those abilities, as you could see, they are called groups, right? So I could, for example, have asking for a reference, right? This is what is called a group. This is another group, and this is another group. This is just terminology, right? So don't think as anything in particular. It's just the terminology within this tool. We call abilities to all of the topics you want to have covered in a quality audit. And then within all of these, you can have, for example, branches, right? Or subgroups. For example, I could say that within asking a reference, I'm going to look for 2 things. For example, are they asking politely, and are they explaining the reason why we need a reference, right? So these are all of the things that I'm going to put within that group or within that ability, right? If I, for example, am thinking of initial salutation, I could, for example, want to review, and this is all going to be told to you by the client, right? I want the agent to, to say this script, and then I want the agent to say this, his name and last name, and then I want the agent to make this particular question, right? So I could put with initial salutation, I could put a subgroup to say the name, and then another one to say, another type of things, right? Let me put this in here. I clicked incorrectly. Okay, so these are the names of the different fields or topics that you want to include in an audit, and then you put the subgroups to figure out how you're going to ponderate or how you're going to score for the total group, right? And so if you go to the, to the main menu over here, you have evaluation formats, which is basically creating all of these. And then you have some other places where you can create groups, you can create the subgroups, you can use causal factors. I'm not sure if in your regions COPC is a standard use for quality. But causal factors is, for example, when you're doing a COPC, a quality with a specific standard, And then you need to find the root cause for that, right? What is the cause of that to, to have been missed? And then you go ahead and create the abilities, right? So abilities are what you're seeing here as groups, right? Abilities are asking for a reference, empathy. Let's suppose that I want to create another ability, okay? I'm going to show you that right now, but basically we went through creating an evaluation plan. We now are seeing that, this is how we create an evaluation format. When you create an evaluation format, you also have to say if this is going to be purely completed by a human agent, or if it's going to be automated, or if it's going to be mixed, okay? And then here where you see the environment, my environment, I'm curious to see what your environment says, but mine says FTP, SFTP, or S3, which is the storage from Amazon, because I don't have any VCC. But if I had an inConcert VCC that is associated or integrated within this environment, then I would have the option to choose from, okay, picking up the interactions of the contact center from the VCC directly, which is the more straightforward exercise, or choosing from, another place like an FTP or SFTP or S3, right? So I would have both options. I don't have, because I don't have the VCC created. So basically creating the evaluation format, if we think it, basically is like creating the script, telling where the interactions are going to be pulled from. This is just for the evaluation plan to figure out, okay, this is automated, this is manual, this is where this is going to get the interactions. It's just informational. And then you will have to associate the abilities, and you will also be able to put within this script that the human agent is going to get, because this is, the additional fields are only for humans, right, to put additional stuff. You can put, for example, an additional field that will show up in the audit screen of the human auditor if they want to, put notes of something, right? So I could say, for example, I want comments from the auditor around, okay, is this something related to training? Let's suppose that I want to audit a team of new joiners, which is something very common, right? So you have new joiners, and then the type of audits that you do to those new joiners have to do with, okay, are they understanding the script? Are they behaving correctly? Do they know the processes? Do they know the documents that they need to search for, right? So if you're auditing and you want to put some comments over there, additional fields is the way when you can create some spaces for the auditor to type comments that they have, right? In this case, I came here and I created one additional field to put in the audit format that is training. I chose that name, but it could be any other. It could be notes from the auditor, right? You can put a field that is notes from the auditor, and then the auditor can put some comments and leave them in the audit, all right? Okay, and this is just for you to, to include or exclude the signatures from the evaluation. So let me see who's training. Oh, okay, so it's Rehan. Okay, there we go. Okay, so far what we've seen is that we have to create a plan. For the plan, we have to create the format, and then for the format, let me cancel over here. We have to create the abilities, and this is absolutely simple, right? So to create an ability, remember that the ability is topics that you want to have covered in the format, in the script, right? So let's suppose that I want to create an ability that is, for example, a disclaimer. For example, that they read the disclaimer at the end of the transaction. Let's suppose that you have a contract that has to be signed, and then the agent is mandated to say a disclaimer at the end of the call, right? So mention the disclaimer clearly to client, for example. Okay, so titles, the titles usually cannot contain special characters or spaces. That is within any of the inConcert applications. But the details of the descriptions, you can put exactly what you're trying to do with this, right? What is this? This is something that I want the auditor to audit or that I want it to be automatically audited, right? So when you create an ability, you have to state if you want the qualification to be the qualification to be quantitative or qualitative, right? If you put qualitative, basically, this is going to be yes, no, good, bad, right? If you put quantitative, this will assign a specific scoring to the to that particular topic or ability that you are creating over here, right? You can put, when you're creating things, remember that this is a script, so you can put things that are, you know, that are mandatory, right? So you definitely have to include this question or this topic to be audited by the auditor. But there could be situations where, you know, the client asks, okay, if the interaction goes this way, then perhaps this other question is not applicable, right? That is also something that can happen. So for example, there could be clients that are very straightforward and ask you, okay, I want to audit these and these other stuff, and I want them to be audited, you know, in every single in every single exercise. But there could be situations where the client is just calling for something in particular and they come up with a variation of a question, and so the next question that I had in the audit form does not apply, right? So you can do this. For example, you can put that I don't figure out when a disclaimer would not be mandatory, but let's suppose that you are working on something and then the client decides, no, I will not go through this, you know, this purchase. And then perhaps you don't have to say the disclaimer, right? So you could put not applicable to this question. And what it will do is it will, if you choose to, which would be most of the cases, the weight that the disclaimer topic had to contribute to the overall scoring of the audit, the weight, if this is not applicable, is going to be distributed among the rest of the topics in the audit form, right? In the audit format. I swear, I cannot think of a situation where you would put not applicable and you would not want to distribute the weight on the other, right? So if I put not applicable, I always put distribute here, but I guess there must be a use case for which the product team put, you know, the option to distribute and not distribute, okay? And then the other thing you can do to help your client is the client wants something to be, you know, audited. And you can, for example, enable or ask the client, do you want the auditor to, you know, do you want to allow the auditor to put comments on this? Is there any situation where you're auditing something and, you know, the answer is yes, no, or black or white, but you would like the auditor to put comments on that? And so if they say yes, then you will enable accept comments. If they say no, you would not. And then the grade scorecard, we're going to see that when you see the performance of the team, there is a kind of dashboard where you can see colors, right? So for example, depending on the result of the audit, then you will see some color coding like red, light red, and then yellow and green and so on. So this is something that I personally don't find really useful, but in some clients that we have, they like to see the visual coding. Okay, so how is my team doing? And they see if it's mostly red, mostly green or yellow, right? So this is something that I would like for you to test on your own. So we can take a look at some exercises and see how it goes. And so remember that in this screen, what we're doing is we're creating abilities. We're creating topics that your client wants to have audited, right? There are two situations. Your client might want the human auditor to do the audit, or, you know, perhaps they want it to be automatically run, right? So if this is going to be used by a human auditor, then what you will use is you will use this tab manual, right? So these are two tabs, right? They don't look like, but they are two tabs. So if you step on manual, this means that if this is met, right? So if this is accomplished correctly, then yes will mean that they will have 100% of the weight of that particular topic, right? If it's no, then it's going to be 0. You could, for example, add scoring, right? So let's suppose that this is not disclaimer, this is another type of topic. And this type of topic is, okay, it could be great, it could be fair, it could be bad, right? So you can assign different weights to the different responses that you're allowing for these questions. So these are all questions, these are topics. So your client can, come in with whatever topic, and they are going to tell you, okay, I want this to be flagged as, poor, good, and great. Or this could be a yes, no, or good, but, or whatever. So you will have that ability to assign in different weights for all of that to come up with a result, right? So this is, let me delete this one that I put. This is if you're going to use the manual. If you choose automatic, right? If you choose this not to be run, so if you choose this ability to be part of an audit form that you want to be automatically run, then you will have to step into the automated tab. And this is something that I want to see today with you. And you will have to choose which is the query. Let me see if I have mandatory greeting. Let's suppose that this is disclaimer. Sorry about the names. But you will have to choose which is the query that is going to be applied to that transcription to figure out if this disclaimer has been set correctly or not, right? So this is the difference between one and the other. When you're creating an ability, you will have to say if that ability is going to be used by human auditors or if it's going to be run automatically through the transcription. How is it processed through the transcription? You will have to create a query. You will have to build a query, and that query is going to look for something in particular that you want to identify. If you identify it, then it's going to be met. If it doesn't find it, then it's going to be missed, right? So that's basically the difference. You can use a query that you have created, or you can choose from an NLU model that you created. And you can also say, for example, if this is a negative ability. And why is this in here? Because if you're a human auditor, then you will absolutely, you will listen to the recording, you will see the transcription, you will see the text, and then you will figure out if this is, if this is good or if this is bad, and you will use your judgment, and you will say, okay, this is passed, so this has 100 points. But if it's an automated query or model that you are, trying to find, let's suppose that you're trying to find if the agent, for example, said, a rude word, if the agent was disrespectful, right? So if you want to check automatically if an agent has been disrespectful or if, has used some words that are not authorized, then you will create a query and put all of those words that you think that are not allowed or that prohibited, and that you will put the query here. Let's suppose that is any of this. And then you will flag this as a negative, because if you're finding something, it means that it's negative, right? We're going to see what intent means and what entity means, right? But basically, these are all related to the model. This is an NLU model. If I choose query, for example, and I put a query like mandatory greeting, it doesn't ask me for, any intent or any entity. Well, we're going to cover on that. But what is important over here is that creating the evaluation plan, super easy. Creating the evaluation format, you need to have all of the abilities. This ability creation is the key for you to figure out, okay, do we want comments from the auditor? If this is going to be done automatically, the findings that we're going to get mean something positive or mean something negative. If they mean something negative, then you will put it as a negative ability. And in the end, when you see the audit, what is going to happen is that topic, let's suppose that I put, the agent needs to mention the disclaimer, and I look here for the disclaimer text, right? So I will create a query and I will put find in all of this transcription, all of this text. If it finds it, right? Let's suppose that I didn't put this. If it finds it, then it will put that topic has been passed, that ability has been passed. If it doesn't, if it doesn't find it, it's going to be that it's missed. It's just as simple as that. So it's either passed or missed. Okay. So this is about creating abilities, and for this, unfortunately, the training needs to be done by creating and creating and creating, and there is where all of the questions are going to come up, right? So this is creating abilities. How many abilities does an evaluation format have? As many as the client wants, right? If the client wants to evaluate 10 abilities, you will have to put 10. If they want to evaluate 15 because they are under an ISO standard and they need to, look for documentation processes and customer focus and whatever. So that depends on what the client wants. Is there a limit for you to add abilities into an evaluation format? No limit at all. You can put as many abilities as your client wants or as you decide that is good for the client, right? So here you have the abilities. Casual factor is just something that you want to have available for when you're using a COPC standard, right? The COPC standard is a specific quality standard that is used in technology, in particular industry. I think I've never used it, but basically when you find something, when you have a bad finding, you have to associate a causal factor because they need to understand, okay, this that happened, what could have been the causal factor? And it could be training, it could be a new joiner, it could be the agent's behavior, it could be systems, like something that is not working correctly, right? So basically, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's super straightforward, but we're going to see how a COPC standard and evaluation is done, and you will see how this applies. Basically, if you, for example, create something like systems, right, which is one of the sources of things that could, work wrong, platform down or with errors. Think of this as the following. You're an agent and you have to, respond to something, or you have to provide information to the client. Let's suppose that it's a banking client, right? Or a retail client, it could be any. And so the client wants you to confirm something or to tell the pricing or to look for the history and say, where's this tracking, whatever. So they need something and the agent has to respond with something, but the systems are down or they are not showing the data, or they are showing the data, but the client says not because I finished my purchase and I want blah, blah, blah. Right. So it could be that in that case, when you're evaluating something, then the resolution was not found, but there is a causal thing. There's a cause for that. And the cause is, that the systems were not working correctly. So that should be used not to penalize that agent because it was a problem that didn't have to do with his behavior or training or whatever, right? So all of those causes are related to whatever the finding is. So let me move out from this because we're going to see that in a live example, but this is what you do here. Basically, the client is the one who will tell you, if this happens, we should make sure that we know the root cause. This is either system or human or training or blah, blah, blah. So these are things that the client is going to disclose to you, and you will have to help creating that, right? And then here where you have abilities and groups, not sure if you remember, but when we were seeing the abilities, there's a button that says add group. For example, let's suppose that I put customer service, right? So let's suppose that I want to have a group that is customer service, and then the abilities within customer service could be, so the agent is, the agent is introducing the company name, the agent is introducing him, his name or her name correctly. The agent is asking, how may I help you? The agent is blah, blah, blah. So there could be one group, and that group will have different behaviors or different things or topics that we want to sum to make up for the scoring of that particular group, right? So usual groups on quality are customer service, initial salutation, disclaimer, asking for confirmation, providing the requested information, closing the transaction. There are many groups, and within those groups you can put one ability or many abilities. Or it could be that, for example, the client says, I just want to test, if the agent is saying the name of the company. And so you can put a group that will be, mentioning the name of the company, and then the ability will have exactly the same. The agent mentions the name of the company, and that's just one single ability associated to one group, right? So all of that is super versatile. You can create it, depending on what the client is asking. You can go ahead and replicate what the client is asking, or if the client doesn't know how to do that, then you can go ahead and you design yourself based on what the client said, right? Which are going to be the big topics or the big areas to audit, and what are the subtopics or abilities that you are going to use within each of those areas, so you can come up with a total scoring of that group, right? So you can drill down, right? So you have the groups, you have the subgroups, and within the subgroups, then you will have the abilities, right? And then additional fields is, remember that I told you, you can put additional fields for the auditors to make comments or put some notes over there, right? So confirm, please. I don't remember, but can any of you confirm that you have all of these options: evaluation, abilities, casual factor, groups, subgroups, and additional fields within the evaluation tab? Can you confirm on the microphone? Is there anyone who is on the?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
so you do
I have all of them. Yeah.
all of them. Okay, good. Okay. So what has to do with quality audits, as you could see, we are going to get to the exercises. In fact, I'm going to write a few exercises so we can go ahead and do those exercises live next week. But what we've seen now is just creating the audit form and then assigning that audit form to an evaluation plan so it gets run. But what about the automatic audits? What has to happen over there? So for you to create an automatic evaluation, of course, if those are voice recordings, right? If they are voice interactions, you will first have to have the transcription of those interactions, right? So this is why you have the transcriptions here. You do have the transcription option in your environment as well, right? So sorry that I forgot. My memory is horrible. You do have the transcriptions piece on the environment that you're using.
I'm checking right now.
Okay. Basically, what will happen is you will have a motor for transcriptions, and then you will introduce all of the interactions that are going to be included in that exercise. Did you check? Do you have the transcriptions?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay. So you are allowed to do. Okay. I don't know why, if it's a testing environment, you didn't have the. So is everybody in? Yeah. So you don't have the transcriptions, and that means that you will not be able to do this exercise in your environment. So if you want to make an automatic transcription, I'm going to talk about this with Franco, okay? For you to have the transcriptions, if they don't, if they can do this by Wednesday, I'm going to get you some access anyway to this environment, so you can test on the speech analytics as well. So basically the transcriptions are all of the, so you can create a transcription. Let me just show you how it is done. I just put create a transcription exercise. So the transcription is just an exercise, right? So you will have to put the name of the transcription. So let's suppose that I put February 3rd, just for saying something, and then transcript of interactions of February 3rd. I'm going to leave in Spanish because I don't have audios in English. But anyway, you will have to put English in here. And then you will have to say, okay, so where are you going to pull the transcriptions from? And then, for example, if I have this, I will choose, okay, I want the audios from this, and the client is, in this case, I have a fake client over here. And then in this case, what I will do is, let me come here and pick an audio file. A second, please. This one. Let me see if it allows me. Ah, sorry. I put one that is an Excel file. Just a second. I need to check if it's a CSV. Okay, good. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a transcription. Since I don't have a VCC that is integrated, I have to upload the files. Just because, and let me tell you, because you're asking, why would you choose the environment if then you have to go ahead and upload the file, is because this is a training environment. I do have all of this enabled, but then the audios that I am using are outside audios, okay? So I just select these, then I upload the CSV. So for you to upload audios, if you have the audios outside of the of a contact center environment, then there's a template here that tells you which are the columns that you have to use. For those, you upload the audio, and then you say, okay, I know that the audio that I'm pulling is, it has more than 3 months. So when you put an audio, one of the pieces of information is going to be the date of that audio, right? So what I will do is I will say that this is an audio that could be between the 4th, 2024. Well, what did I put here? Sorry, I wanted to put. Okay, so this is all that allows. Let me put this. So you have to select the date of the audio. Let me do this and see if it finds something. If you have, no, let me check if it works, because I have very old, audios. Let me work this out for the next session, because I don't have real audios. So the sample that I have, it looks like it's older than the system admits, right? So there's a limit for you to process the transcriptions, and it's not allowing me to use this audio. Sorry about that. I should have an audio created before. But basically what you do here is you create a transcription, right? So you say, okay, the interactions that I want to audit are voice interactions, right? So I have my agents and I have all of the recordings of all of those transactions. So I'm going to carry an audit over those, those interactions. Let me cancel this and show you why you would need to do a transcription first. Let's suppose that I want to create an evaluation exercise, right? I want my team to audit a specific sample of audios from a specific date, right? I come here to enablement plan, not evaluation plan, right? I put, I don't know, a audios web. Let's suppose that I want all of these, to be run by human agents. I will say, okay, I want to do this one, and I have to put this deadline. The deadline is automatically preset to, I think, 1 week ahead, but you can absolutely change it, right? And then you have to state what are the interactions over here. And then basically what will happen is that when you get to the auditors, let me do this again. Let me put this, for example. Again, sorry. Which one was it? I think it was this one. Okay. Give me 1 second. Here, what I'm doing is I'm just okay, 15 audios. Okay. I'm creating an evaluation plan, right? And so when you create an evaluation plan for your client, basically you will have to, the client will have to say, okay, I want to evaluate the samples or all of the interactions from this date to this date, or from this month, right? Whatever it is. What I did is, because I don't have my VCC integrated, I had to upload the file with all of the audio data, right? The metadata. If I had a VCC integrated, an inConcert VCC integrated with my system, it would have been much easier, because let's suppose that the client wants to say, okay, you want to audit all of the interactions from this week, all of the interactions from yesterday, or all of the interactions from last month, or whatever customized period could be, right? So if the VCC is integrated, then you don't have to upload an audio. You would just select all of the data from here. You could filter by supervisor, by campaign, by interaction type, right? If it's call, or if it's, WhatsApp, or whatever you have. If there were interactions that were initiated by the client, or they were initiated by the agent. So basically, if it was an inbound or an outbound, right? So you could do and apply multiple filters over here. In my case, I don't have a VCC, so I had to upload the file. If I would like to filter specific content from those interactions, I could use this. But then I would come here to auditors and I would say, okay, I want all of these interactions here. What it's telling me is that there were interactions for a total of 15 interactions, right? So there were 15 interactions. And then this is the place where you come to the auditors, and then you will say, okay, I want to distribute this between this guy and this lady. And I want to use any of these methodologies, right? If it's shared, you will see that she has 15, he has 15, but from a shared bag, right? So basically, Alejandro is going to pick up the first one. So Leticia is going to have 13. So she is going to pick up the next one, and then Alejandro will have 13 to start working on. And so they will start, evaluating until they get completed. So that is the shared modality, right? But there could be a proportional, which is basically, all of this is disabled, because if this is proportional, then it's going to apply a percentage of distribution, right? You could also choose custom and then put different weightings for one and the other. This usually happens when there's a one that is super experimented and the other one is not, or because of any client's criteria. And then here you have calibration, and calibration, what means is all of the auditors are going to audit all of the interactions. So an interaction, if there are two auditors, an interaction is going to be audited twice, one first auditor, the other one, the other auditor. And then they are going to come up with a calibration between themselves. That is something that we have one or two clients that were requesting this, because they had a big quality, team in the organization. So they were using of this, right? So this is when you have human auditors. You have all of these modalities, and you also can choose if you're going to audit the total sample, or if you're going to evaluate a percentage of the sample. So in this particular case, because we have 15 interactions, it doesn't make sense to put a 10% of the sample, because they are too few. But usually a client will have hundreds of interactions. So they basically will say, okay, a fair amount is 30% of the sample, or 50% of the samples, or whatever, right? And then this other field that you have here is because you may have auditors that are supervisors or just auditors, right? So if you want to see just the auditors that you have in the system, then you will be able to split the sample between all of those. But if you want to show everybody, then you will have this. Why am I showing you here this? Because this is if you have human auditors, right? But what happens if I want this evaluation, right? This quality evaluation, what happens if I want it to be run automatically? What happens is going to, let me check this, just automate it. Enter actions, content filter. Oh, okay. Sorry, I have to upload the interactions again. Let me check. Yeah, 15. I'm not going to content filter. Okay, so basically what's going to happen here is, did you see that I have evaluation, I have interactions, content filter, business as usual, but then here I don't have the auditors, right? I don't have any auditors. I'm going to audit the total of the sample, or I'm going to be able to reduce the amount of the sample. And when I put save and start, what's going to happen is it's going to come up with, okay, since these are voice interactions, you will have to transcribe all of those audios, right? And so here is where, basically, if you want to test this in your environment, if you don't have the transcriptions piece, then you will not be able to do that. So I'm going to talk, with Franco or Julia about this. You will be able to do this from our training environment, but not in yours as of yet. But basically, when you put save and start, what happens is, okay, it tells you that you have 15 interactions. It tells you that the format of evaluation that you are using for those audits contain 4 queries. We didn't cover queries today, but we're going to. It has 4 queries, and so there's a cost per transaction, and there's a calculation of the amount of money that is going to cost for you to run the transcription. So what does this mean? You want to do an evaluation plan that is created for an automatic audit, right? So you have voice interactions. When you click save and start, this is going to go through the through the transcription motor, and the transcription motor has a price, a processing price per usage, right? So basically what happens here is you will have to accept what's the rate of that and how much it's going to cost. You will have to confirm this is you or your clients, right? And then all of the users, when they have a transcription service into the platform, let me put here, this is just the code. They will have a code. This is for the administrators, right? So a human auditor will not do this. So the supervisor of the team will do this. Okay, will say, okay, I want to use this and run this automated transcription. So when they hit save, they will have to acknowledge with a code that this is allowed, and they will have to have money in the system, right? So this works like a wallet. So every time that a client has transcription services or has the queries, the query builder, or they have the NLU model. So those are cognitive services. So you have transcription services and cognitive services, 2 different types of services that are used for this, right? Basically, this is this way because the transcription allows for all of the audio to be transcribed into a text. And then the query builder and the NLU model, what they do is you have to create a query or a model to find text, specific text, phrases, even silences. And all of that has a cost, right? So all of that has a cost. So when you have a client and the client wants to run automatic transcription, or they want to use speech analytics to find, different phrases, silences, emotions, whatever, they will have to enable a wallet. So basically per month, I don't know the commercials in your region. I really don't know the amount, but a client with these services, what they have is a wallet. And so the wallet has a specific amount of money, right? So they can go and get the transactions done using the money that they have in their account. If they run out of money, they can come to you and they can ask for, okay, I need more, more money to the transcription services or whatever. Or when when the month ends, it resets. I understand that the model is that every month when they pay their speech analytics services, or I don't know what the SKU is, sorry about that, but when they pay at a monthly basis, if they have transcription and if they have knowledge, NLU or queries or cognitive services, they get an amount of money so they can start using for the transcriptions and so on, okay? So basically, what I did right now is I created an evaluation plan for automatic quality audits. And what it did is it's telling me that it is being evaluated, right? So basically what it's doing is it's going through a transcription exercise. Once the transcription exercise ends is going to have running all of the queries or the NLU queries that I have, right? So for example, I can see that this is evaluating. I can edit. If I want to edit, I will not. I will wait for it to finish the transcription, right? But let me see, for example, if I want to show you one that has already completed, I can see the status of the services, right? And basically what it's telling me is that the transcription was completed and that the semantic analytics is finished, right? So this is basically the result. And then, okay, so this is being evaluated. I'm not sure if you could see, but this was in orange. It was processing. Now it says is evaluated. And when I come here and I go to see the status of the services, it says evaluation completed, which is basically the transcription. And then the analysis is in progress, right? So this is what you can see here from the from the exercise. Okay. So this is why transcriptions are used. You can also use transcriptions for speech analytics, right? So this is for evaluations, right? So let me see the history of evaluations over here. Interactions, let me see how I can show you. I think I'm not going to, do you have any questions so far from the things that we've seen up to now? Because you've been silent, so I'm not sure if this is perhaps too basic for the audience. Do you have any questions?
Seems pretty straightforward for me so far.
Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
about the.
Because next on Friday, what I'm trying to do on Friday is we still have 15 minutes. I want to show you something. And I'm going to create users for you for this environment today. You will have to tell me if you can access, because I think that there are some issues when accessing from your region. So you need to confirm after when I create the users for you that you can access. What I want to do is on the next session, I want to test a few audits. So we can create some audits, see how they are seen by the agents. And I think that we will need at least a few more sessions, right? One, because of, the topic that we were talking at the beginning with Alvaro, but also I would like for you to test a few audits, automatic audits and manual audits. And I want you to do that on your own, as we go. So you make sure that you understand and that you can follow through. Transcriptions are also useful when you want to create a study, right? So you will see that here in administrate here. Okay, so you can perform studies, right? So you have two main uses of the tool. One is to audit specific stuff from your agents, right? So basically it's just running an audit automatically or manually. But then the other thing is if you want to pick up information from the interactions that is not exactly related to quality, right? It could be, for example, the most usual cases are my client wants to identify if the competitors are being mentioned, right? The typical use case of, the cable or internet services or, all of this stuff when the client is calling you to get a best price because the competitor is offering a better price, right? So for example, you might want to understand if they are mentioning the competitor, if they are angry, if they are, if they are frustrated, if, the silences studies are usual for some of them. The transactions where the conversations are too long. For example, you have a client and the client wants to get information around something, or you have support services, and then you have the agent asking the client to hold on the line until they can figure out or check something. So you want to make sure that the client is not on hold for more than a minute, right? So there are several things that could be analyzed from the interactions that are not actually related to the quality of the attention of that agent, right? And so when you want to do that, basically what you will do is you will create a transcription of the sample of interactions that you want to audit but you are not going to use that transcription for quality. You're going to use it to run a query that you want to run on that, right? So basically you can say, okay, I want to do a transcription for silences. I'm very bad with the name, sorry about that. I put any name in just for the sake of. You will put the language that I remember that you were asking for Arabic language, and this is something that you definitely need to follow up with Franco or with Julia. Because I still don't see it here, but mine is a training environment. So it could be that, it could be that I don't have it, but just because we do trainings in Spanish or in English only, okay? Okay, basically you will have to say whose client is this. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm just creating a transcription exercise, right? I want to create a transcription of a pool of interactions. So let me use the usual one, right? I will not be able to do this because of, I tried yesterday. Okay, so basically you will put the sample, right, of the interactions, and then you will click save and start. I know that it's not going to allow it because my audios are very old, and the metadata, it has the actual date of the audio. So it's not going to allow me. But let's suppose that it processed this. I'm going to try to get some newer samples, but let's suppose that it already, processed the transcription. So you basically put the sample, it starts running all of the process, and then you will see the process finished as this, right? You will see the language, you will see the date, and you will see the status, right? Usually when you finish doing this, you will be able to see the details. I did it fast, sorry, but I went to the three dots and I click and I put the details. So basically within this interaction, within this transaction exercise, what is telling me, okay, you transcribed 13 interactions. It puts some basic data. And if I want to see the interactions, I have this, right? So I went ahead, I selected a sample of audios, I run the transcription exercise, and once the transcription exercise completed, then it shows me all of the transactions that it processed, right? So I can see that all of these are called transactions, the agent's name, I can see the client's data, I can see the campaign, right? So all data that was included in the file of the audios. But I also can come here, click on the little I, and see the interaction details, right? So when you create a transcription, the transcription will tell you general information. Sorry about this because this is all Spanish data that I put in the audio, so I didn't have any sample for English, right? But basically it shows general information about this transaction. This is a call, this is the agent, this is the result of the interaction. So somebody went ahead and classified the interaction and it put, client without options, right? It puts information around the duration and all that, and then it puts some P&L indicators. Like, okay, was these a more visual? So this is agent indicators and client indicators. In this case, what might have happened is that the audio file was not in stereo, right? And since it's not in stereo, you cannot identify agent and client. By default, it will show all of these as in agent. But if the audio was in a stereo file, then it will show both agent and client and PL indicators, right? Okay, there's there's an analysis result over here, sentiment analysis over here that probably didn't work because of what I was just saying. And then you will be able to listen to the audio that was transcribed, and then you will see to check on all the transcription from the transcription exercise. Agent, client, etc. Then you will see, some metrics all over here. And then you will be able to rate the transcript. And this is just to provide the vendor of the transcription, the feedback, right? So we're going to go through one of these live exercises on Friday in this environment. But basically, this is just to show you that you can do the transcriptions outside of the quality audit, right? So if you do a quality audit and you want that audit to be done automatically, of course, it's going to include a transcription, right? Because you have a sample, you have to run it automatically. So the first thing that it will do is if you have voice interactions, then it will transcribe. So all over the transcription, all of the queries that you created, so you can check that the abilities are met or not met, are run, right? Because all of the queries and all of the models, when they analyze, what they analyze is text. They don't analyze voice as of yet, because as I told you in the beginning, in the short term, we're going to have real-time evaluations, right? We will be able to do real-time transcriptions and analysis. But so far, what happens is you first have to transcribe, and from the transcription, then it starts running all of the queries and the models that are created, right? So you can use that for quality. You can use these from transcriptions. And why would you want to do a transcription if you're not going to do a quality audit? It could be because you want to create a study. A study is a kind of audit that you use, but it's not an agent audit. It's not to analyze the agent and if they are meeting or not meeting expectations. It is when you want your client to get insights around the transactions, right? So you are not interested on qualifying the agent. You are interested on understanding the behaviors, right? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they frustrated? Are they disrespectful? Are they mentioning the competitor? And all of these examples that I told you. You can think of examples yourself, and then we could go ahead and try, because I'm not the most creative person in the world. But for example, in this one, I don't have one in English, but for example, let me show you this one. What I wanted to do is I wanted to check that it confirmed the terms and conditions, right? So I was looking for somebody to confirm terms and conditions. Let me tell you how I would do it. And with this, we can close, but I wanted to get this so we can do this on the next call. So let's suppose that I want a confirm T says, right? Agent terms. No. I am going to put client. I'm sorry. Client refuses to confirm. Let's suppose that I want to, I don't know. I want to check if there are clients that refuse to accept the terms and conditions, right? Because of something. I don't know why it would, but I have to put the name, and the next thing that it will ask me to do is to select the process. What is the process? Is the transcription. So basically, if I want to run a study for my client, right? My client is interested on understanding some specific behavior or want to get some information specific, they can come to you and say, can you help me figuring out from all of the interactions if this is happening? And then the first thing you will say is, okay, let's work on the sample. What time frame you want to, to run this study from? And they say, from the last 3 months. So you will go ahead, you will create a transcription of the last 3 months' interactions, and then you will put a name, right? So let's suppose that we did that, right? Let's suppose that we did that and we put this name, which is test foretell, right? So let's suppose that the transcription has this name. You will run the study by doing this, and you will select the transcription process. And here, you will have to put a template. What is the template? The template is queries that you started using for identifying that particular thing that the client wants to identify, right? So how do you do this? How do you do this template? So you then select the template, and when you select the template, that you confirm and start. And let me show you some of the studies results. As you could see, all of this goes backwards, right? So you first need to understand how it works to be able to configure. So for example, I'm not sure, test util, let me check if this one was a good one. Okay, no results. I don't know of any good one because let's see this. Let me show you one that has, okay. Good. Okay, so this, for example, this is a study, right? And so in this study, they wanted to understand, sales results, right? So basically what you have here is you have a graphic, and the graphic has a number. If you click on the number, it tells you, okay, so apologize again, that is in Spanish. But what is telling is, okay, so in this case, these were classified as benefits. In this case, it was classified as, checking on the client. And in this one, it's classified as personification. I really don't know what those mean, but those were requested by your client. Your client wants to identify things that in the end get classified in these categories. And then you will have the total of silences and duration of the call, average, and then the trust level of the transcription based on how people spoke. We will cover more details on this on Wednesday. And then you have from each of those categories, from each of these categories that were resulted from this study, then you have here all of the queries that were used and identified within this study. So I know it sounds a little complicated as we speak, but basically in a study, you're looking for something that your client wants to ask, right, to find some findings that your client is looking for. And so basically what you will have to do is you will have to create a template that helps you identify those things that your client is looking for, right? So when you create a template, remember that when we created the study, you put the name, you choose the transcription data, and then you had to use a template, right? So a template basically is a query, right? So you can create a template, you will put name, a description, and okay, let me put new template. This is not user-friendly. And it took me time to realize, hey, you must enter a template name, new template. Don't worry about remembering this because this is part of the next session's exercise. You start creating a new template, and you will see that for the template, you will have to start adding queries that you will have to start adding for it to look for stuff. So let me make a summary of what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get you accesses to my environment because you definitely need to start accessing the transactions and see how it works. Otherwise, you will not be able to work on an automated audit for the quality clients, right? So I'm going to get you accesses to my environment. I'm going to speak with Franco about the environment that you have. I know that you have to go through the project team or Julia for these, switch between the current environment that you have and the new for your client. That's another topic that doesn't have anything to do with training. But for training purposes, I really wanted to have access to transactions and queries and so on. So I'm going to give you access to that. What we saw today is just the summary of if I want to create an evaluation plan, I need to create a format. If I want to create a format, I need to figure out how to do that for manual audits and for automated audits. And then we saw how the transcriptions are performed. But then for Wednesday, what I will do is I will create 2 or 3 exercises, and I will let you go through that, and I will guide you through creating the abilities, creating the scoring, and creating everything. We're going to focus a lot on creating evaluation formats, processing them, doing an automated, and so on. And after we run all of that, then I will want you to see how an auditor will receive those formats and how they would do, for example, if they are human auditors, how they would go ahead and complete the audits manually. I also want to spend some time next Wednesday, that probably the second half or at the end of the call, for you to start working on queries, right? The queries are the expressions that you're looking for that will help the automation to process all of those transcribed interactions. And then I think that I would like for you to have 2 more sessions. Unfortunately, I cannot on Thursday and Friday, but I can on Wednesday sorry, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, I will be able. So let's do Wednesday this week. And then if you can, if you're available, then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, it will be enough for you to have tested, for you to have created queries and transcriptions and all that kind of things. Is that okay for you? Also, we need to have Sebastian or somebody from the team to work on the other provisioning stuff. I didn't forget about that. Is that okay for you? And would that be a good plan for you to continue with this?
Yeah, I just wanna just correct something. If
Sure.
the thing with the VCC is not provisioning a new one as much as just switching it to the correct one that we needed it on, because when he did it on the test
know.
one rather than the
I know,
actual one.
and I know, unfortunately, and I might be wrong because something might have changed. But I think that what will need to happen is they will need to take down that one and create a new one, so the cost stays exactly the same for you guys. But I think that there is not possible to edit a VCC. I think it's not possible, but perhaps the project team comes up with something different. Anyway, it shouldn't take long to accomplish that, but I really don't know. So on that piece, don't worry, because I know that Franco is checking with the project team and they should be able to resolve that. The problem is that for us to continue with the training, I really need you guys to have access to an environment that has all the stuff. So this is why I'm going to get you access to our one, and I hope the other thing, since you already have that contract signed with the client, gets resolved soon and quickly. I think it's going to be quick, but anyway, I don't want to speak on the project team's words. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with an email getting you the user ID and the passwords for the environment. Feel free to use it. You can start using it right away. Don't worry for using it. Test whatever you want to test, and if you have questions, then we can cover them on Wednesday. But I'm hoping that with these sessions we can just get this, which is basically what we all need. We all need practice in the tool, because I can tell you clients come with different requests, and usually we have to spend a lot of time responding to the models that they want to have us replicating in the system. The system is super flexible on that aspect, but understanding the client's needs is sometimes a little difficult if you didn't experience with the tool, and if you didn't test, and if you didn't make mistakes and all that. So it's important that we test and we make mistakes and that we get errors and all that, so you can get used to talking with our clients and saying, yes, this can be done, versus no, for this we will need this other stuff, right? So that's the idea. Okay,
That sounds good. Yeah.
good. Okay, thank you for your time, team. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll see each other again on Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.